Good morning, East Alabama and West Georgia. Dr. Don in here with you on your Sunday morning, April 6th, 2025. It is 5:43 a.m. Central. It is 6:43 a.m. over on the eastern side of the time zone, and we have got a mess out there this morning. Let's talk about the graphics here. You can see that we have a level 2 out of 5 risk for severe weather. Really wish the Weather Service wouldn't do this because that seems like it's not much of a risk. And honestly, folks, it is. We've got some impactful weather out there this morning. And all modes of severe weather will be possible. We're talking tornadoes, damaging winds, and large hail will all be possible, including flooding. We have a flash flood watch that's in effect for all of East Alabama and West Georgia, and we have a tornado watch that's in effect until 10 a.m. this morning for some of our East Alabama counties. We'll define that for you in just a moment. But I really believe that we are seeing a transition here from a severe weather threat to more of a flooding threat. Not to say that we can't have damaging straight line winds, a few small spin up tornadoes, and some hail, but this is really setting up to be a flooding event. We're seeing rain rates back in the Birmingham, northwest side of Birmingham, at 1.5 to 2 inches per hour. And this thing is going to sit right over that area now for at least an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. So you can do the math. I mean, 4-inch rainfall totals are not going to be out of the question here. And some of these locations that continue to get the same training effect taking place. So all modes of severe weather are on the table, but it's beginning to look like this is going to be widespread flooding issues across Alabama and Georgia as we go throughout the remainder of the day. Now, once we get the heating of the day going, we could see some of these storms re-intensify, and we could start seeing severe thunderstorm warnings and perhaps even a few tornado warnings as we get into the heat of the day. Here's the latest radar at 5:45 a.m. on your Sunday morning. You can see what's happening out there. All counties inside of the yellow flashing box, which covers a large area there across central Alabama, East Alabama, and West Georgia, now under a tornado watch until 10 a.m. this morning. I anticipate this being replaced with a new watch within the next hour or so. Big question mark as to whether it's going to be a tornado watch or a severe thunderstorm watch, but we'll see. And then you see what's happening there across north central Alabama. We are talking incredible rainfall that's taking place from Gadsden all the way back into North Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, just torrents of rain falling there in Tuscaloosa, right along the I-20, I-59 corridor is where the leading edge of all this setting up this morning. If you go in a little bit closer on Birmingham, we'll go up here and inspect that. I mean, look at that. I mean, that we're talking that's 1.5 to 2 inch per hour rain rates falling in this area across north central Alabama. And that extends all the way down through Tuscaloosa, Montevallo, Utah. It lightens up just a little bit, just north of Livingston, moving back into Mississippi. And then we have a severe thunderstorm warning coming up on Meridian, Mississippi, Enterprise, Mississippi, Quitman, Mississippi. Tornado warning north of Laurel, Mississippi. Now, that's the only tornado warning we got out there right now. Severe thunderstorm warnings from Laurel, Mississippi down to Hattiesburg. That's a nasty-looking storm just to the west-northwest of Hattiesburg. So that's kind of what we're looking at. And here's the deal, folks. This is an incredibly slow-moving storm system. I mean, we really haven't seen much movement since our first broadcast earlier this morning about an hour and a half ago. There just hasn't been much movement. I mean, this is a very slow-moving storm system. I mean, we'll put the radar in motion, and this is going to be I mean, that's about an hour right there. So this has moved. Hang on, I can tell you exactly. Let's get this to stop. Well, let's do it this way. All right, so let's see if that's about right. It is. So it's moving at about 20 miles an hour. The line is advancing to the east at about 20 miles per hour. So that's part of the equation. Bring it current. Let's mark it at. Let's just mark it at Ashland. So just 70 miles away. So I mean, we're conservatively we're looking at about 3 hours before this gets into western Clay County. So that's about 9 o'clock. About 9 a.m. this morning before this makes it into East Alabama and West Georgia. I mean, it'll be in Talladega County a little sooner than that. But about 8:30 before it gets into Ashland, Alabama. That's how slow this is moving, about 20 miles per hour. That's very slow. I mean, normally when we have these line of thunderstorms, they just truck right on through at about 50 to 60 miles per hour. Not the story this morning. Well, I'll just allow you to do that, Alabama Granny. Happy birthday to the pastor of Faith Baptist Church in Roanoke, Alabama. Yeah, Alabama Granny, I got my cup going this morning. Hey, Steve Han up in Ranburn. So that's kind of what we're looking at this morning, folks. A very slow mover, dumping torrents of rain across central Alabama. No severe weather at the moment in East Alabama or West Georgia. I mean, there's just nothing happening at all, pretty much, right now. They're still well off to your west. We're going to switch over to Atlanta and take a look at what's happening up here in northeast Georgia. We do have a special weather statement now for portions of Habersham, Rabun County, Stevens County up in northeast Georgia. That's extreme northeast Georgia. You go through those locations when you go to Gatlinburg, if you go this way. If you go through Knoxville, then you don't. But if you come up through Georgia, which a lot of folks do, you'll know where Tallulah Gorge is. You cross over it, going up 441. Well, that's what we're looking at right here, that area. Special weather statement. Then we have some small area of heavy showers stretching back through White County. From about Cleveland back to the southwest to where my studios are located, right there in the extreme southwest corner of White County, and then into southern Lumpkin County. Then just popcorn showers popping up ahead of that main line off to the west, and then the main line is stretching from about Dalton to Calhoun, and then back into Alabama to near Gadsden, Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, probably have some hail taking place to the northwest of Springville, Alabama, or southwest of Aniana. That's a pretty good hail core right there. Then we come down to around Gardendale, another pretty significant looking hail core just west of Birmingham. This thing is amazingly lined up right along I-20, I-59. We're getting out of the Atlanta range, so let me switch back to the Shelby County Airport, and that'll give us a little better look at this. Heavy rain in Moundville, Utah. Then we'll get back into Mississippi. We're looking at that severe thunderstorm warning there around Meridian, down to Quitman, Laurel, Mississippi, and then we have that tornado warning just north of Hattiesburg. Well, that's pretty noisy. Let me change radars here. Look at Jackson. Take a second to load. Tremendous amount of lightning down there just north of Hattiesburg. So your tornado is right there. I mean, that's just north of downtown Hattiesburg, Mississippi. There's your tornado right there, crossing 59 just northwest of downtown Hattiesburg. Moving in that direction. This is a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located over Rawls Springs or near West Hattiesburg, moving northeast at 40 miles per hour. Now, that's the individual storm moving northeast at 40. The line itself is very slowly advancing to the east at about 20 miles per hour, which is pretty incredible and unusual because the line of thunderstorms typically move a little faster than that. That's why we're seeing these incredible rainfall rates, because the storms are just training over the same location because the line is moving to the east so slowly. So before someone asks the question, you see that purple box. You see two of them. You see one in Mississippi and then one in Alabama. And that is the actual tornado watch that's currently in place. You'll notice that line splits some of these counties in two. Well, our current system can't do that. So they take that purple box and they go to the next closest county line. And so that's where the line is drawn. watches are not polygon based on a local level. They are from the National Weather Service out of Norman, Oklahoma, Storm Prediction Center. But on a local basis, they are county based. So that's why you see that purple box right there. That is the actual tornado watch at this moment. And the local, it's issued on a national level from the Storm Prediction Center, and then the local National Weather Service office can make adjustments to that. And then they're charged with dropping counties off of it as the line moves through. Just a little Weather 101 for you. So if you're just joining us this morning, that's what's going on. It is 5:59 a.m. on your Sunday morning. We are watching a storm system literally creep across the state of Alabama, moving ever so slowly at about 20 miles per hour. And we're looking at another 2, potentially 3 hours before this thing makes it into East Alabama and West Georgia. Good morning, Anya. Mr. William, yes, there's a threat across all East Alabama and West Georgia. The line has not moved through yet. You're under a tornado watch. Tallapoosa County is under a tornado watch. So if you're under a tornado watch, there is a potential threat for severe weather. That's the way this works. I think this is turning into, at least for the foreseeable future, the next couple of hours, a flooding threat. You see that very heavy rainfall setting up there along the leading edge of that line. We have no warnings in Alabama at the moment. That's good, because earlier this morning we did. We had several severe thunderstorm warnings. We even had a tornado warning up in northwest Alabama earlier this morning. So we have seen a decrease in the number of warnings. And we've seen an increase in the amount of rainfall. We're talking 1.5 to 2 inches per hour there across northwest Birmingham, back down to Tuscaloosa. But as the sun comes up and we start to get some heating of the day taking place, these storms, that line of thunderstorms, could re-intensify. So that's the reason for the tornado watch. Now, I expect changes in the tornado watch coming relatively soon. The question is, do we go with a severe thunderstorm watch, or do they replace it with a new tornado watch? Either way, we're going to get a new watch, I believe. And I also believe it's going to be extended further to the east to include all of East Alabama and West Georgia. But yes, there is a threat in Tallapoosa County. There is a threat in Randolph County. There is a threat in Chambers County. There is a threat in every single county in front of this line of thunderstorms. Which is moving in this direction at about 20 miles per hour. So if you are anywhere in this area, there's a threat for severe weather at your location today. Now, this stuff over here in middle Georgia and southeast Georgia and southeast Alabama would be late this afternoon and probably during the overnight tonight, because this thing is just barely moving to the east. So it's going to take a tremendously long time for this to get over into places like Macon, Elberton, Augusta, even down into Troy and Dothan, Albany. It's going to be several hours before it gets down there. But if you're inside that white circle, there is a threat of severe weather today and into tonight. I mean, tonight would be down here. this morning would be up here, mid-afternoon in this area. David, you expect in Heard County just exactly like what you're going to expect in Randolph County or Clay County or Troup County or any county inside that circle I just drew on the map. All modes of severe weather are possible, though I think this is turning into more of a flood threat, at least for the immediate future, the next couple, 3 or 4 hours. And as we get some heating of the day going, we could see these storms re-intensify. I expect nothing any different from Heard County. There's nothing special, though you folks who live in Heard County think you're special. There's nothing different about Heard County versus any of the other counties across East Alabama and West Georgia. The threat is the same. The potential threat is the same for everybody. There's no geofence around Heard County that's going to keep it from potentially being bad there versus anywhere else. Yeah, some things to consider when we're talking about flooding. This type of setup typically affects those flood-prone areas, and you know where they are. Those areas that typically flood every single time we get a very heavy rainfall event. Avoid those areas. Just don't go there. Number one, you shouldn't be out driving in this type of weather anyway. Number two, you know where those flood-prone areas are. Avoid them. Stay away from them. Don't purposely drive to them to see what it looks like. I mean, that's foolish. You're putting yourself in undue danger. You don't need to do that. Be weather aware and be smart. The good Lord gave us a brain for a reason. You got to use it, folks. I mean, most everybody that's injured and folks who lose their life during severe weather, two things, and both of them are avoidable: automobile, mobile home. I love me some mobile homes. I've lived in mobile homes before, would live in a mobile home again. They're gorgeous. They're beautiful. But they're not built, they can't be, regardless of how hard you try, and they are built a whole lot better than they used to be. But there's no way you can there's no way you can make a home mobile on wheels that is as substantial as a brick and mortar home on a concrete slab. It's impossible. Or at least we hadn't figured that out yet. Maybe we will someday. But right now we haven't figured that out. So you got to get out of mobile homes and you got to stay out of automobiles. It just absolutely drives me insane to watch video, and it happens every single time we have severe weather. To watch video of people driving into severe thunderstorms and tornadoes in their automobile. That, to me, that just blows my mind how that happens. Take personal responsibility. Be weather aware. Be aware of what's going on around you. But you have to do that. Nobody's going to, come riding up to your automobile and tell you to roll the window down and tell you that there's a tornado up there 2 miles ahead. You got to have that app on your phone. You got to listen to the local radio station. You got to be weather aware, and you have to take the initiative to be weather aware. In every single time they interview these folks, and they're like, "Oh, I had no idea. I didn't know that was a tornado." Well, that's because you were in your own little world with the outside world tuned out. You could clearly see how dark the sky was. You could clearly see all the tremendous lightning that was taking place ahead. Pull off the road. Find a rest stop. Go in a store. Go in a restaurant. Get off the road. Well, I'm a truck driver. I got a timeline I got to meet. Okay, sir, is that timeline worth losing your life over? No, it is not. Being weather aware is the name of the game. That's what will save your life. And if you do the few things, and they're not hard to do, to make sure you're weather aware, then you can bring that, and a lot of people suffer from weather anxiety. You can bring that anxiety down to almost nothing, because being aware is what saves your life. Having that app on your phone, watching Dr. Don's weather, having that NOAA weather radio, predetermining your safe place in the center of the lowest floor in your home or place of business. Have an evacuation plan to leave that mobile home. Stay out of your automobile during severe weather. All of those things will save your life, and they're free, except for the NOAA weather radio. I mean, there's a little cost involved in it. But being weather aware is free. That's something you have to do. I guarantee you right now, if I pulled up the interstate cameras in Birmingham, I guarantee you'll see headlights everywhere driving through this torrential rainfall that's taking place in Birmingham. And I guarantee you there will be automobile accidents in Birmingham this morning because of the weather. Because I had to go to Aunt Sarah's house. I got to be over there at such and such time to pick her up to go to church, or we're going here. We're going to a family reunion this afternoon. I got to go. No, you do not. You do not. Wait until this passes your area, then go. Okay, so you're going to be an hour late, but you're going to get there alive. Bingo. That's what it's about. Sorry, I should have given you a soapbox alert. But that, to me, and I've been doing this a long, long time, that, to me, is the most frustrating part about severe weather. Yes, if a tornado makes a direct hit on your house, there's not a whole lot you can do about that other than get to the center of that house on the lowest floor and start praying. But so many people migrate into the path of tornadoes. So many people stay in structures that are not meant to survive or can't survive tornadoes. And it's needless. Yeah, that's a nasty storm over there near Hattiesburg. First alert hurricane tracker. Well, and I'm certainly not advocating anybody skip church this morning. I'm really not. And I hate it when we have severe weather on Sunday mornings. But you'll remember some of the worst significant numbers of fatalities and injuries have happened on Sundays in Alabama. You'll remember the Palm Sunday tornado outbreak. You'll remember the Goshen Methodist Church and what happened there with the pastor's daughter. I mean, there's just countless heartbreaking stories about severe weather across Alabama and Georgia, and there have been several cases where it's happened on Sunday morning, and it has involved churches. I mean, that's where we all go on Sunday morning, and we should. And I'm not suggesting you not go to church. What I am suggesting is you be weather aware. When it comes time to make that decision, is it safe for me to get in my automobile and drive to my church? That's when you got to make that decision. I mean, we're still probably 2.5 hours away from this line making it into East Alabama. It may be done by the time, or the severe part of it may be done by the time you decide to drive to church. We don't know yet. I think it's a little too soon to make that decision, Alabama Granny. Of course, if you just absolutely want to make that decision now, that's cool. But that's what I'm saying. Don't you got to assess the situation in real time. It's a fluid situation. It's constantly changing. So as the morning goes, then make decisions on whether whether it's safe or not to get in your automobile. Look at where the storms are. Look at where you're going to be going. Is that in the direction of the storms? Are you driving into the storms? Or do you have time to get to where you're going before the storm comes in? These are all decisions you have to make. And that's good, logical thinking to make those decisions. The folks that frustrate me are the ones who say, I don't worry about how I'm not worried about that. Good Lord gave me, he's going to get me when he gets me. It's my time. It's my time. Those are the folks I love to talk to. Again, God gave you a brain for a reason. Use it. I'm not disagreeing with your theory when it's your time. I get that saying, but I don't think that applies to driving into a tornado in your, 2012 Chevrolet. I really don't. That's one of those personal decisions that God ain't got nothing to do with. That's your own self making bad decisions. Good morning, Carrollton. Morning, Nathaniel. Amen, Alabama Granny. Better to be 10 minutes late and alive than to be 5 minutes early and dead. Yeah. And I'm sure the state trooper was alluding to your heavy foot on the accelerator, Alabama Granny. But that applies to weather situations as well. It's better to be late and alive than early and dead. Hey, Heather. In Randolph County, Lynn's got us going on in Wadawi. Headed home from Panama City this morning. Definitely staying weather aware for our drive home. Bria, be extremely careful. You're leaving Panama City. You're going to get into East Alabama probably. If you're just now leaving PC, you're going to make it into East Alabama at about the time this stuff starts to move in. So just keep a very close watch on where the line is. And if you need to find somewhere to pull off and let this thing pass over before you continue north, then do so. That's being weather aware. There's absolutely no reason you shouldn't be on the road right now. Coming out of Panama City, you got clear sailing for a long way, but the line should be creeping into East Alabama about the time you get north. So just keep an eye on that. Amen, Gene. God gave us a brain. Use it. Alexander City in the house. Good morning, Beverly. Abanda Cafe and Bake Shop. Good morning, Abanda. And good morning, Gene. Well, I wish I had some of that eggs, bacon, and biscuits you guys got. And grits. I know the grits are good. Good food right there at Abanda Cafe and Bake Shop. Good morning to everybody. Good morning, Mandy. Weather today in Valley, Alabama. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Stormy. Just like it's going to be everywhere across East Alabama and West Georgia. Oh, so the heavy foot on the accelerator was back when Alabama Granny was 16. Yeah, we all had those moments, didn't we? Beth, these are going to be spin up tornadoes, and the good news is we haven't seen any in Alabama, at least in the last couple of hours. The line that's moving through Alabama has morphed into more of a flood threat than a severe threat, at least for the time being. Now, as we get the heat of the day going, this line could certainly re-intensify. But at the moment, there are no warnings in the state of Alabama. Just that tornado watch that goes until 10 a.m. this morning. We are expecting a new one, or a new watch, I'll say. It may be tornado, it may be severe thunderstorm. We'll see. But any tornadoes that do develop along this line, for the most part, will be the smaller spin-up tornadoes. But let me tell you something, folks. If that happens in your front yard, it's a bad day. Even the small spin-up tornadoes can be significant. The EF zeros and ones and twos can cause a tremendous amount of damage along their exact path. They're just not, typically they're not very wide, and they typically don't last very long. I mean, they're there for maybe, a handful of minutes, and then they're gone. So don't discount this just because we're not talking about supercell thunderstorms producing damaging, large, violent tornadoes. A tornado is a tornado. Just as I say, wind is wind. It doesn't matter where it comes from. It's still destructive, whether it comes from a tornado or a thunderstorm. It just really doesn't matter. So straight line winds, small spin up tornadoes, these are all things you got to pay attention to. Good morning, Sherry. Well, Gene, God gave some of us a brain. I'm not so sure everybody got one. And I have my moments too. I'm not singling out anybody. Good morning, Kellyton. Moody, Alabama. There's Reba. That's a cool name. I don't know that I've ever seen that before. Reba. Preach it, Rachel. Preach it, preach it, preach it. Let's give Rachel a round. Rachel is preaching the truth this morning. As a 911 dispatcher, we encourage people to stay off the roadways as much as possible during bad weather. Stay safe out there. As the division chief for the White County, Georgia 911 division, I agree with Rachel 100%. So what happens? You get out there, you want to be a looky-loo, or you ignore the fact that we've got severe weather, something happens to you, guess who has to come rescue you? And guess who has to send that rescue unit to you? That's right, the 911 center. And guess what that does? It ties them up and they can't get to the real emergencies. Stay off the roadways, folks. Good morning, Lake Wedowee, Classy Lash Studio. What's the estimated rainfall for East Alabama and West Georgia? Well, I can't tell you for sure, but if what we're looking at right now is exactly what the line looks like when it moves through East Alabama and West Georgia, we're probably looking at 2 to 3 inches and some localized 4-inch totals. We're looking at rain rates in Birmingham, West Birmingham, right now of 1.5 inches to 2 inches per hour. And this thing just isn't moving very fast, only at about 20 miles per hour. I mean, that's just creeping along. So if this line looks the same when it gets into East Alabama, nobody knows if it will or not. But if it does, then we could be looking at 2 to 3 inches of rain on a conservative side of things. Good morning, Lisa Monroe. There's a proud partner with Dr. Don's weather from N&W Locks. Good to see you, Miss Lisa. Yes, Beth, once the line passes, you'll no longer see a severe threat. As a matter of fact, all of the northwest Alabama counties and most of Mississippi, the tornado watch has been canceled. So just as soon as that leading edge, let me just draw it on the map for you. As soon as that moves through your community, the severe threat will end. And it's moving like so. The entire area is moving like so. And the individual storms are moving northeast. So you have two things going on here. The line itself is advancing to the east at about 20 miles per hour. And then the individual storms are racing to the northeast at about 40 miles per hour. That's why we're seeing the train effect over the same areas. I mean, storm after storm after storm, and that's how we're picking up all the heavy rainfall rates. When am I expecting the worst between LaGrange and Newnan? You got at least 2 hours, if not 3. I'm thinking probably closer to noon in LaGrange and Newnan. Probably pretty close to the noon hour. Hey, Pastor Matt in Woodland. So Pastor Matt is asking the question, and I knew this was coming. A lot of you are going to start asking, needing to know what to do about church this morning. So here's what I'm going to tell you, Pastor Matt. So I think we're looking at somewhere between 8:30 and 9:30 with this line coming in. Maybe between 8 and 10 this morning. Probably closer to between 9 and 10. I mean, it's just a slow mover, incredibly slow. If you're looking for the course of absolute least regret, then the absolute safest course to take would be to call it. Now, as long as you have a safe place within your church, and I'm not talking about the sanctuary because that's an open, wide span in most cases, roof system. That's not the safe place. I'm talking about obviously a basement. I'm talking about your family life center if you have one. I'm talking about your class, your Bibles, your classrooms. I'm trying to spit it out this morning. Or a small room in the center of your church. If you have a good place to shelter during severe weather warnings, then you certainly got time to get everybody to church this morning. But this could be taking place during Sunday school or just as you start your service. So you got to make sure you've got a plan in place, and every church should have one. These are things you need to make sure you have before severe weather strikes. Know where the safe place is where you can put your congregation, have someone in charge of monitoring the weather. And the second a warning is issued, then everybody has to go to that safe place. And these are things that should be pre-planned, and you should have people already identified for those responsibilities of, number one, receiving the warning, and number two, getting everybody to the safe place. If you got all that in place and you have a safe place within your church and you're in East Alabama and West Georgia, then I think, and again, this is just my opinion, I think you're safe to go ahead and start church this morning. You may have to deal with it while you're there. But if you want to take the absolute safest route here, then this might be one of those days where you want to consider calling it. Because even though we don't have severe weather out there right now, we do have the watch, and we do have tremendous amount of rain that's taking place that will move through East Alabama and West Georgia. You know, and it's kind of hard for me to make those calls for you guys. I can tell you what my thoughts are, in my opinion, and I wish I could tell you with great certainty that this is exactly what's going to happen, and this is exactly where it's going to happen, and no, you should not have church, or yes, it's fine for you to have church because you're not going to have anything. I really wish I could do that for you guys, but I can't. I'm just being honest with you. That's just not the way it works. Technology is great, and it's much better than it was 20, 30 years ago, but it is certainly not to the point that we can tell you exactly what's going to happen at your church or in your front yard. It's impossible. We can tell you what the possibilities are. Sometimes it happens, and sometimes it doesn't. Hopefully, this is one of those cases where it doesn't happen. But who knows? It certainly could. So if you're going to be walk on the safest side of life, then just don't do it. Good morning, Scott Harry in Daviston. We do need the rain to fill up the lakes, and I think that's about to happen. I don't know how much good it'll do some good for your yard, but it's going to run off, so there's no question the lakes are going to get full. You hadn't missed much, Alicia, other than we've got severe weather possibilities across East Alabama and West Georgia later on this morning. We've got a very slow-moving cold front sweeping across Alabama. Thank you, Susan. The individual storms are racing to the northeast at 40 to 50 miles per hour, but the line itself is just barely creeping to the east at about 20 miles per hour. So it's going to take a while for this to get into East Alabama and West Georgia. Now, this should definitely help with the pollen. Lake Harding, Alabama. Good morning, James. Beautiful down there on Lake Harding. Matter of fact, I need to be sitting under one of those bridges catching them crappie. That's my favorite. Good eating, too. Okay, folks, let's reset this thing. It's 6:32 a.m. Central, 7:32 a.m. on the eastern side of the time zone. It is Sunday, April 6th, 2025. We are watching a very slow cold front creeping across the state of Alabama, dropping copious amounts of rainfall. Rainfall rates, we're seeing reports of 1.5 to 2 inches per hour. They're issuing a flash flood warning now for the city of Tuscaloosa. We have flash flood warnings in effect now for Lamar, Fayette, Marion, and Winston counties of northwest Alabama. Hueytown is reporting 1 inch has already fallen in Hueytown with 3-inch rain rates. That's just almost off the scale. That's crazy. Tuscaloosa Airport is recorded right at 2 inches of rain so far, and they've got rain rates at about 1.5 to 2 inches per hour. So this is interesting. So I'm just looking at some of the comments in the National Weather Service chat room, and so what their theory is at the moment, and this could change in time as we get some heating going on, but their theory at the moment is that this heavy area of rain across North Alabama, now into central Alabama, is inhibiting these storms down in Mississippi, or will inhibit those storms from growing too strong as they move into Alabama. So that's what's going on at the moment. All this stuff to the north is kind of robbing the energy from this stuff down to the south. And that's the only area where we see any warnings at the moment, is down in southeast Mississippi. And gosh, that's been going on now for about the last 3 to 4 hours down there. But all of this heavy rainfall up here is inhibiting these storms from growing much stronger, or they will inhibit them as they move into south central Alabama. Now, in time, as we get heating of the day ongoing, that what's happening right now could change, and we could see this whole thing flare back up from a severe standpoint. I don't think that's extremely likely, but it's possible. I think the most plausible idea here is that we are now looking at a flooding event across Alabama, and eventually that moves into East Alabama and West Georgia. So we may or may not get a new tornado watch. We may or may not get a new severe thunderstorm watch. We already have a flood watch in place for all of East Alabama and West Georgia, and they may just hang with that and wait and see how this thing goes. That's just one idea. But at least the trend has been over the last couple of hours for this to turn into, and it has so far, more of a flooding threat than anything else. Nonetheless, you don't want to be out there driving, even in a flooding event, because what happens when you get in your automobile and the roads are covered in water, you hydroplane, you have accidents. It's still not a good idea to be out there driving. These storms, individual storms, are racing off to the northeast at, 30, 40, 45 miles per hour, but the entire line is just barely creeping across the state at about 20 miles per hour. All right, so we're going to take a break and look at some things and assess some models and fill the coffee cup and take a break because we're still at least 2 hours, if not 2.5 hours, away from this getting into East Alabama. And once it does start moving into East Alabama, we'll stay with you for the duration. So we're going to take a break, and we'll be back in 20, 30 minutes or so and continue with our coverage across East Alabama and West Georgia as we watch for the possibility of severe weather across East Alabama and West Georgia. Don't forget to show us some love. There are links at the top of our video. There are links in the chat room on how you can do that. Send us some love and keep us streaming here on Dr. Don's Weather. We appreciate that. And also don't forget about your What About Dr. Don t-shirts that are available. A link at the top of our news feed on Dr. Don's Weather page where you can get in touch with Regina Smith, and she will hook you up with one of those What About t-shirts. We have them, by the way, in Alabama and in Georgia. We have one shirt that has the state of Alabama. The Georgia shirt obviously has the state of Georgia. And we have them in both male and female and all sizes. So get in touch with Regina, and half of the proceeds from the sale of those shirts come back to support us here on Dr. Don's Weather. And then you wear that shirt to our second annual hurricane party coming up May 31st at Boondocks in Wedowee, Alabama. I'll see you back in here shortly with another update on Dr. Don's Weather. Y'all stay with us.